Hey everybody, time for my post-fight breakdown. UFC on ESPN, Vettori versus Hermansson. COVID's been devastating cards. It's been devastating, especially for some reason main events. It's been very hard to kind of keep up with it, doing anything but the daily work I'm doing on SiriusXM because I'll break a card down and I want to make a video about it. And like the next day, COVID changes everything. The next day, COVID changes it again. And then whatever I broke down becomes completely useless. So it's been tough, I think, on everybody. But it's better than getting it and getting sick and having someone around you get sick. So I'll take it. But it's been hard to kind of keep up with cards. Post fights are a little bit easier, but this one no exception. The main event changed 3 times, whatever it was, depending on your definition. And then they're losing so many fights right before. So it's a totally different card than even the one I broke down on SiriusXM on Friday. So, but it does give us a post-fight to look at. So we start out with Jordan Levitt versus Matt Wyman, KO slam in 22 seconds. Almost nothing to say about that, but Matt Wyman had come in having lost his last 2. He's 37 years old. End of the road, man. It's just the game moves past you. Everybody gets old. Father Time's undefeated. Blah, 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 blah. It's time to not fight anymore. It was scary for a second because of where Levitt's forearm was placed. When he slammed him down, the forearm was right on the neck, and he went out, and obviously there's that moment of, oh, crap, neck injury, which is, of course, paralysis and the worst, and nobody ever wants to see that. So far, we have not seen it in high-level MMA, thankfully. But that was a scary slam. Scary slam. And anytime you're in guard and, you're getting ready to get dropped like that, it's tough. So Matt Wyman just ended up in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I think he's fighting too long. That makes it 3 in a row after a comeback that I didn't see the point of it. Meaning Wyman was a decent fighter back in the day, never a title contender, never super elite. So the idea that he would come back and accomplish something dramatically great that he didn't accomplish when he was in his prime, I find hard to believe. But 3 losses in a row, it's time to go, and that was a scary one. So Roman Dolidze versus John Allen. This one was on my picks on Friday, and I picked Dolidze to win, probably by decision, which is what happened. It was interesting, and it was mostly a kickboxing battle. Dolidze got on top a bit. He has good jiu-jitsu, good transitions, good pressure on top, decent ground and pound. But the problem is we kind of saw the weaknesses that he needs to clean up if he's going to keep going at the elite level. Kept going for leg locks when he was already in dominant position. And look, I'm a leg lock guy. I absolutely love them. The problem is you go for him, you lose top position, and the guy ends up on top of you. And he kept going for it over and over and over. If you can't get it early, a lot of times it's difficult to get late. They're not a submission that gets easier as guys get slipperier. Guillotines and rear naked chokes sometimes do because you can slide underneath the chin and it's a little bit more give later on in a fight, especially if someone gets tired. Leg locks don't get easier. If you don't get them early while somebody's dry, it's hard to get them late when someone isn't dry. So he kept going for these leg lock, heel hook, inverted heel hook combinations. Obviously, has a good leg lock game, but every time Allen would get out and end up on top. And after you make that mistake a couple times, or not even get on top, but end up in neutral position where he stands back up. The thing is, if you do that a couple times and it's clear your opponent's hip to the leg lock game, they have decent jiu-jitsu, I would change that strategy around. He didn't. He kept kind of going for it later on in the fight. And I was like, dude, didn't you learn in the first round when you didn't get this that might not be a good idea? Stay on top a little bit longer. Also, really too comfortable getting hit. When he was on the feet, and a few times Allen would land some decent punches, he would like smile at him and say, come on. And yeah, that's exciting. It's entertaining. Great. There are fighters out there who knock your head right into the third row doing stuff like that. So he's just too comfortable getting in these exchanges, especially when it's not going his way. When he's getting hit, you shouldn't be standing there going, yeah, come on, move your head and get out of the way simply because you're going to fight better strikers at 185. You're going to fight stronger guys. It's just difficult to stand there. I believe this was 185, yeah. It's just difficult to stand there and trade punches and be right in the pocket. I'm sorry, 205. Right in the pocket to get hit. You're going to face harder punchers. Dominic Reyes is going to drill you. Jan Blachowicz is going to drill you. These guys hit too hard for you to stand there and take one on the chin and shout for more. So I like Dolidze's performance. Very, very solid win. But I saw the things that are going to betray him if he doesn't clean them up. That tendency to go for submissions that take him out of position, and his tendency to stand there and have no problem slugging it out even when he's losing that battle and taking hard punches. But good win for him. Gabriel Benitez over Justin James. It was a kickboxing match with MMA gloves on, and then Benitez just hit a beautiful knee to the liver, oh my God, to Justin James, and that was it. That was all she wrote. Only shot that's ever dropped me was a liver shot in sparring. And everybody saw it on Fight Quest if you did. You know, in the Savat episode, there's a story behind that, but I won't get into it. But I got kicked right in the liver, and it just, it's the worst. It shuts down all your internal organs. You can't move, you can't breathe, you can't do anything. It's almost like you break all your ribs on that side. That's how it feels. And that's what happened, man. And for people who've never experienced that, don't, if you can avoid it. But any boxer, kickboxer who's ever taken a liver shot will go, oh no, it's not, I can gut through it. No. It drops you, and it's absolutely awful. It doubles you. If you're lucky, you can like double over and take a few breaths and get back into it, but it always doubles you over. It just shuts down your organs. And when you get a good one, like a knee or a kick, it's finished. And that's exactly what happened. Until then, really entertaining kickboxing match. But then that final shot, brutal and beautiful, right? Benitez hits that shot, and that's it. 406 in round number 1. Jamal Hill versus OSP. I thought OSP was going to win this fight, and he looked flat from the beginning. He missed by 1.5 pounds, right? And usually the heavier fighter wins. But in this case, seeing him early on, I was like, something's wrong here. I'm not making an excuse for him. He didn't make any excuses about being injured or anything like that, but it wouldn't surprise me if something like that had happened because of the late weight miss. And his performance in the fight was, we all have those days where we don't want to be at work, right? Where if you're watching this and you're an attorney or a teacher, whatever you are, and you're just like, I am not in this today. Maybe it's Friday or Monday after a long weekend. You're like, I don't want to be here. I'm going to go through the motions and get through my day, and that's it. And then I'm going home. Fighters have those days too. Not only in training, but sometimes you try to avoid it. Sometimes you just don't want to be there. And things aren't firing well, and you're not feeling it, and it's just not your day. And you try not to have those obviously in the octagon. You always have them in training, but you try not to have those in octagon and in ring. And OSP just looked flat. He looked lethargic. He didn't look explosive. His timing wasn't good. He looked passive. And whenever you get a young guy like Jamal Hill, who's just getting his MMA career going, it was the 9th pro fight, you can't do. They're going to come at you. They smell weakness. They're all over you. They're not going to hesitate. They're not going to respect you and, back off. No, it came right at you. And that's what happened. And Jamal Hill showed no fear, was aggressive, good, sharp combinations, was accurate. And this kind of passive OSP, do enough and he'll stay away from you kind of approach was not going to work. So it wouldn't surprise me if there was that combined with the weight miss, there was some kind of injury late in camp that kept him from A, making weight, and B, being sharp, or maybe he wasn't sparring the last month or so, or something was going on because he just didn't look crisp in anything he did. And OSP against a guy like Jamal Hill, you can't afford to not be crisp, and it cost him. So it wouldn't surprise me to find out something was happening injury-wise because OSP just looked absolutely awful in that fight. Main event, Marvin Vettori versus Hermansson. This fight was changed around 3 or 4 times depending on your definition. It was originally supposed to be Darren Till. Darren Till backs out because of an injury, and then it was Kevin Holland, and then Kevin Holland was COVID test, and Marvin Vettori was supposed to fight somebody else, and blah, 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 blah. They mixed and matched and made this main event. So a big factor in this fight to me was, all right, who was going to make the right adjustments for a new opponent? It was mostly a kickboxing match. Hermansson could not make his takedown a factor. But the biggest puzzle piece in this fight was Hermansson seemed unprepared to deal with the southpaw stance. He seemed completely unprepared to deal with it. And that was just, he didn't seem ready. And what happened was every time he would get hit, he would slip away from the southpaw, from the power shot. And it gave Vettori a bigger target. If you look at the knockdown in the first round, he takes a jab and he winces, and he goes this way. He goes to his right away from, that just gives him a clear power shot on the other side. Bam, he kind of leaned and gave him a bigger target. That happened the whole fight. The left-hand power shot takes longer to get to you if you're an orthodox, but you can't get away from it because you expose a bigger target and you give the punch more time to reach you. I know, because you got to slip. You're not slipping into it. You're slipping away from it. And he kept making that mistake. Slipping southpaw punches is very difficult. My first 2 striking coaches were southpaws. And you can slip their jab pretty easily. It's really hard to slip their power hand because it's further away, right? You can't like get around it as easily. So it takes a long time to get used to that. And Hermansson wasn't ready for that. Now, it could be just a weakness he has with the style and he's not good at that or whatever. Or it could be Till's a southpaw, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe he's getting ready for southpaw and then getting ready for orthodox and went back to southpaw and just didn't quite make the right adjustments because he kept making the same mistakes, slipping away from the power shot, and so it landed beautifully. And Vettori, to his part, stayed tight, threw nice, crisp punches, everything straight, everything went back to his chin, decent jab, worked the body well. It was a kickboxing match for the most part, and Hermansson got out kickboxed. And what I was surprised we didn't see more of was funky, not necessarily takedowns, but trips and maybe flying for something crazy, pulling guard, half guard, do something nuts, because he does have a very tricky submission game. Went for a leg lock, obviously in the waning seconds of the fight, and then suffered some kind of leg injury. But we didn't see more of that. We didn't see more funk because his straight up takedown, single leg, double leg was not working. And we didn't see any of that. So Vettori basically wins a kickboxing match against Hermansson. Big step backward for Hermansson. And now we're in kind of middleweight limbo because, of course, Israel Adesanya taking on Jan Blachowicz April, March because having a kid in December and needs some time to deal with that. So the middleweight division is in limbo. We don't know who's next. We don't know how long it's be till the champ defends the title, if he ever defends it again. Because if he beats Blachowicz, he'll probably want to take on John Jones, and it's at least a year. So we might have an interim title belt or something like that. But everybody in the middleweight division is at the mercy of Israel Adesanya's pursuit of John Jones, which sucks. So we'll see where it goes. Obviously, Vettori moving up, great win for him. But where that takes him exactly, we don't know. And who gets in the mix from now on, we're not quite sure. But excellent fight, good performance by him. I'm surprised we didn't see certain things from Jaak Hermansson, but that's the way it goes. It's one more step back for him. So I'll be breaking down this Saturday's card earlier and just hoping we don't have any COVID issues. If there are, then I might do another one breaking down the card we get after closer to the main event because it's getting hard to pre-break down fights these days. All right, later. Hope you guys appreciate it. I'll see you soon.